Hi guys. So now I'm going to be moving on to 3.9. So I am going to turn this around right now. All right. So now it is 3.9 that we're talking about. Now it says we are going to be subtracting decimals. Now again, we're going to start moving away from doing the quick pictures. So we're just going to be doing just the normal subtraction behind this. But there will be one more quick picture that I'm going to go over with you before we start going and doing without them. All right, so Hannah has 3 and 36 hundredths kilograms of apples and 2 and 28 hundredths kilograms of oranges. Hannah estimates that she has about 1 more kilogram of apples than oranges. How many more kilograms of apples than oranges does she have? So they're already saying that she has more apples. So they want to know how much more does she have than oranges. So in order to do this, you have to subtract this to find the difference between these two numbers. And a lot of people want to add those two, and that is not true just because it says how many more. They are saying how many more kilograms of apples than oranges. They're comparing them. So they want you to see how many more there are of this than this. So this is a subtraction problem. So you're actually finding the difference between the two. Difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. All right, so first thing, I am going to first show you this. Remember, this is what you have, and this is what you got to take away from it. So down here, the only thing that we have is 3 holes, and then 3 longs, and then 6 hundredths. All right, so first thing you do is you bring down your decimal, so you don't forget about that. Then you look at the 6, and it's saying to take the 6 and subtract away 8. Well, you don't have enough to take away 8. So in this case, you have to come over and borrow. So I'm going to borrow 1. Then I'm going to take it and I'm going to break it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So then there's 10 plus the 6 that was already there is a total of 16 now. And now it says, now do I have enough to take away 8? Yes, I do. 2, 4, 6, 8. So then that it leaves me with 8 more. And then the next thing, so that is an 8, is left. Then going over to the tenths, saying I have 2 and I have to take away 2. So if I take away 2, that means that there are 0 left. And then the next part is looking at the holes. So before we say to the holes, it's the decimal. And then if you look at the holes, they're showing 3, and we need to take 2 away, which leaves us with 1. And then 3 minus 2 is 1. So therefore, our answer is 1 and 8 hundredths. And is that close to 1? Yes, it is. So therefore, it is reasonable to its estimate. All right, now I'm going to move on to the actual subtraction. It's going to say the exact same thing about if there is a number without a place to go ahead and put a 0 here for a placeholder. So this is also what it says. It says use addition to check. Since subtraction and addition are inverse operations or opposite operations of each other, you can check subtraction by adding. And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. So find the difference. Remember, difference means the answer to a subtraction problem. So first you're going to subtract the hundredths first, then subtract from the tens, the tenths, the ones, and the tens to regroup as needed. So in this case, there is nothing here, so I'm going to put a 0 there as a placeholder. First thing before I move on, I'm going to bring down the decimal. So can I have 0 and take away 3? No, I cannot. So I have to come over and borrow 1. Then that gives me 10 more over here. 10 minus 3 is 7. Next, I have 1. Can I take away 6? No, I cannot. So I have to come over and borrow from my neighbor. So that would be now 3. And now this will give me 10 more. So now it'll be 10 minus 6. 11 minus 6, which is 5. And then you have to look on to the next side. Can I have 3 and take away 8? So in other words, I have 3 cookies. Can I give away 8 cookies if I only have 3? No, I cannot. So in this case, I have to come over and borrow. Now this becomes 0. Now this one is 13. 13 minus 8 is 5. So therefore it is 5 and 57 hundredths. Now, it's saying that they want you to now check your answer using the opposite operation. So opposite of a subtraction problem is an addition problem. So how you do this is you work backwards. The only thing is, instead of subtraction sign, it's now going to be an addition sign. So you're going to take these two numbers and you're going to add them. And then that will give you, hopefully, this top number if you did it correctly. So the difference goes first between them. So that was 5 and 57 hundredths. And then I'm going to add these two. So let's go ahead and do that. So 7, first we got to bring down our decimal. So 7 plus 3 is 10, carry your 1. Then 6 plus 6 is 12, carry your 1. And now this is 6 plus 8 is 14. And then we have to check to see if that was the original number just that we started off with, which it was. So therefore we just checked our answer. All right, so the next thing it wants us to do is to first estimate. Again, that is optional. You do not have to do it. If you want to do it, by all means, you may. But I'm not requiring it. But it does want you to find the difference. So please make sure you are finding the difference of this. So the difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. First thing you need to do is bring down your decimal. Can I have 3 and take away 8? No, I cannot. So I have to come over and borrow. And then 13 minus 8 is 5. 7, take away 1. I can do that. That is 6. 5 minus 2. I can do that. It is 3. So my answer is 3 and 65 hundredths. Next, you would have 5, bring down your decimal first. Can you have 5 and take away 6? So can you have 5 cookies and give away 6 cookies? No, you cannot. So you have to come over and borrow. This is now 15. 15 minus 6 is 9. Can you have 3 and take away 8? No, you cannot. So you have to come over and borrow again. So then 13 minus 8 is 5. And then 3 minus 1 is 2. So it'll be 2 and 59 hundredths. All right, I am going to stop right here. I want you to go ahead and try this on your own. So I will stop for you to do it on your own. All right, so you should have done this on your own. So I'm just going to quickly do this. You should have said 3 minus 5. You can't do that. So you have to come over here, which you cannot borrow from a 0. So you have to go all the way over. This becomes a 3, which now this becomes a 10. Now, does your neighbor have enough to give you? Yes. So then now I'm going to take 1 away from 10, which is now 9. So now 13 minus 5 is 8. 9 minus 2 is 7. And then 3 minus 2 is 1. So this is your answer down here. All right, the next part said, find the difference. So again, you're going to find the difference between this, which is the answer to a subtraction problem, and then check your answer. All right, so first thing, bring down your decimal. Can you have 0 and take away 3? No, you may not. So you got to come over and borrow. So then 10 minus 3 is 7. 6 minus 4 is 2. And then 0 minus 0 is 0. Now, in order to check, remember you work backwards. So it would be what is down here, which is the 27 hundredths. And then you reverse the subtraction sign to a plus sign. And then it would be still the same number. And then if we do it correctly, it should come out to what the original number was. So this was 10, carry a 1, and then this is 7 and a 0. And that was what was originally there, 70 hundredths. So therefore, this is correct. All right, next, you should have put a placeholder down, bring down your decimal. Can I have 0 and give away 4? No, I may not. So now I got to come over and borrow. 10 minus 4 is 6. 1 minus 0 is 1. Then 3 minus 8. I don't have enough, so I'm going to come over and borrow. Then 13 minus 8 is 5. And then I have to check it by, again, working backwards. So it means 5 and 16 hundredths. Then instead of the addition sign, it's going, instead of the subtraction, it would be the opposite, which is addition. And then make sure you line up your decimals still. So then bring down your decimal. That would be a 10, carry your 1. That would be a 2. 8 plus 5 is 13. So 13 and 2 and 20 hundredths, yes, that is true. So therefore, we're going to check that one off. It is the correct thing. All right, next. You should have, again, I want you to try this one on your own. So go ahead and try this on your own and pause it. All right, so what you should have done is put in the placeholder, which is what I should not have done first for you. But then that wouldn't, you cannot have 0 and take away 7, so you have to borrow. That would now be a 3. 7 minus 6 is 1. Can you have 5 and take away 9? Nope. So then you come over, and now it's 15 minus 9, which is 6. And in order to check it, you would again work backwards. So it'd be 6 and 13 hundredths plus, because that is the opposite of subtraction, 9 and 67 hundredths. So then if you line up the decimals, bring it on down, then this would be 10, carry your 1. This would be 8, and then 15. So your answer was 15 and 80 hundredths, which is what it originally said. So it is correct. All right, next. This is again using the words. We have to write it out in standard forms. The first part says 3 and 72 hundredths subtracted from 5 and 81 hundredths. So in order for it to be subtracted from this, that means that this one has to be there first in order to subtract this away from it. So actually, the way it says subtracted from, that means this has to be written down first for this to be subtracted away from it. So we're going to figure out what this number is first. So this says 5 and means your decimal, 81 hundredths. So to make 81, you would go 8, 1, and then make sure that that 1 is in the hundredths, which it is. So therefore, it would be 5 and 81 hundredths. Then, if you look over here, you would then subtract it, and then this one is 3, and it says 72 hundredths. Well, to make 72, you would need a 7 and a 2, and then that 2 better be in the hundredths. So we're going to check that to see if that is true, and it is. So therefore, we're going to subtract these two numbers. So then we go ahead and subtract. So can I have 1 and take away 2? No, I cannot. So I have to come over and borrow. This now becomes an 11 minus 2 is 9. 7 minus 7 is 0. And 5 minus 3 is 2. So therefore, my answer is 2 9/100. Again, this one says 1 600 subtracted from 8 3200. So again, it says that subtracted from. That means this needs to be listed first in order to subtract this part away from it. So we actually have to figure out this first number first, the second number first. So 8 and 3200. Okay, 8 and 3200. All right, so 32, and let's check to see if that 32 is in the hundredths. Yes, it is. So therefore, that is the correct way of writing it. So I'm just going to rewrite it over here, and now I'm going to subtract it from the 1 600. Okay, so this is saying 1 600. All right, so here's 1 6. So I got to make sure that that 6 is in the hundredths place. So if I did this, that is actually only saying the 6 is in the tenths. So therefore, in order to make it into the hundredths, I would have had to add on another 0. So if I add in another 0, then it is saying it. So it needed to be another 0 in between. So this is the way that you write 1 600. So first bring down your decimal. That would have been, can I have 2 and take away 6? No, I cannot. So I have to come over and borrow. Then 12 minus 6 is 6. 2 minus 0 is 2. And then 8 minus 1 is 7. So therefore, my answer was 7 2600. All right, next. In order to figure out this answer, it really just is saying this. Well, in order to figure that one out, you would just simply subtract it. So I'm not going to go over this one because you would just go through and just subtract it like normal. The one that I am worried about is this one. So I'm going to put an n here, minus 6 47/100 equals 4 3200. So I want to know, how in the world do I figure out what n means, what it is? In this case, I actually have to work backwards to figure out this number. So in order to work backwards, I'm actually going to put my difference, and then instead of subtracting, I'm going to be adding 6 47/100. So when you do this, you bring down your decimal. This would be 9, this would be 7, and then 10. So my answer, my n, is actually supposed to be 10 79/100. So I'm going to say n equals. All right, and then this one, all right, so now this is what this one is saying. Now, in order to figure out this particular one, it's kind of hard for people to see this one. So I'm just going to put in regular old numbers. So for example, if I had 6 minus blank is 4, how do I figure out what to do here? Well, what I could do is I could do 6, then put this one up here, and it should give me that other number, which is a 2. So in this case, you're actually just going to keep the same number at the top, and then you're just going to subtract it from this number. So in this case, you would just flip-flop these two. So it would look like this. And then you subtract to find out what n is. So if you subtracted this correctly, that would have been a 6. This would have been a 0. And then 11 minus 7. 11 minus 7 is 4. So it would be 4 6/100. All right, so if you want to do more, you always can do more. Here is more for you to practice on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go on to this one now. It says Beth finished a race in 3 3/500 minutes. Anna finished the race in 8/10 of a minute less than Beth. And then Fran finished the race in 1 2/200 minutes less than Anna. So what was Fran's time to finish the race in minutes? So first we have to figure out what Anna did, because what Anna did, we would then have to take away from Fran. So in this case, Beth, so I'm going to say B for Beth, was this. And then it says Anna finished the race in 8/10 of a minute less than Beth. So to figure that out, I'm going to have to subtract off 8/10 of a minute. So I could hold that as a placeholder. That would have been 5. Can I have 3 and take away 8? No, I cannot. So 13 minus 8 is 5, and 2 minus 0 is 2. So this was actually, it says Anna finished the race in 8/10 of a minute less than Beth. Okay, so this one is Anna's. This is Anna's time. So it says Fran finished the race in 1 2/100 minutes less than Anna. So now what we have to do is we have to take Anna's, and now we are going to do 1 2/100 less of that. So bring down your decimal. Can I have 5 and take away 2? Yes. 5 minus 0 is 5, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So therefore, what was Fran's time? And this came out to be Fran's right here. So that would have been 1 53/100 minutes. All right, next, it says Fatima planted sunflower seeds in a flower patch. The tallest sunflower grew 2 6/500 meters tall. The height of the shortest sunflower was 3/400 meters less than the tallest. What was the height in meters of the shortest sunflower? So in order to figure this out, what you would have done is you would have taken these two and then just have subtracted them, the tallest from the smallest. So if you did that, you should have brought down the decimal. It would have been 5 minus 4 is 1, then 6 minus 3 is 3, and then 2 minus 0 is 2. So therefore your answer would have been 2 31/100 meters. All right, next thing is talking about in peanut butter, how many more grams of protein are there than grams of carbohydrates? So it's saying how many more grams of protein than grams of carbohydrates, and use the label to the right to help you. So a lot of people think, oh, how many more? Oh, I got to add this. No, you are actually finding the difference between the two. You are seeing how much more protein there is than carbohydrates. So you're actually going to need to subtract here. So we're going to look at the protein. Oh, here's the protein right here. And then my carbohydrates. So my carbohydrates are right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those two numbers and I am going to have to subtract. So I'm going to just do that, line up the decimals, make sure you bring down the decimal, and then I'm going to subtract the 2. Can I have 1 and take away 2? No. So I have to borrow. This would now be 11 minus 2, which is 9, and 7 minus 6 is 1. So it'll be 1 9/10 of more carbohydrates. All right, so then this one is talking about Kylie building a block tower. Right now, the tower stands this high. How much higher does the tower need to be to reach this in height? So they want to figure out if this is the highest that it could be, how much longer does it have? So you have to find the difference between the two. So you should have lined up the decimals and subtracted this. Bring down your decimal. So can you have 4 and take away 9? No. So you'd have to come over and borrow. Then 14 minus 9 is 5. Can you have 6 and take away 8? No, you cannot. So 16 minus 8 is 8. And then this would be 0. So it would be 85 hundredths of a meter is needed left. All right, so this one says, actually, I want you to try this one on your own. So please pause it and see what you would have said. Again, it says mark all that apply, so make sure you are reading carefully. All right, so you should have said Dialyn scored 2 5/10 points higher than Gina at the gymnastics event. Select the values that could have been each student's score. So again, she scored 2 5/10 higher. So if you looked, they gave you several different choices. Well, just to save some time, if you went and subtracted the first one, it would have been 1 5/10. So that's not big enough. So that would not have worked. Then if you went to this next one, it was actually 2 5/100, which is not the same as 2 5/10. So that one is not correct. However, the last two were correct if you subtracted them correctly. They both had a 2 5/10 difference between the two scores. So therefore, the only two correct answers were C and D. All right, now I am going to come over here. First of all, again, I don't want you to estimate. I just want you to find the difference. Again, the difference is the answer to a subtraction problem. So real quick, I will just quickly do this one. I'm going to bring down your decimal. Can I have 3 and take away 1? Yes. So that would be a 2. Can I have 2 and take away 5? No. So then I'm going to have to come over and borrow. That would be 12 minus 5 is 7. Then 3 minus 2 is 1. So your answer is 1 72 hundredths. All right. So what I want you to do is do 3. Don't worry about the estimations. And 4. Okay. Now I'm going to do one of these with you. It wants you to first find the difference, and then second thing it wants you to do is to check your answer. So I'm going to do this one with you. We're going to find the difference first. So when you have 3 minus 4, you cannot do that. So you have to come over and borrow. That would be 5. This would be 13. 13 minus 4 is 9. 5 minus 4. You can do that. That would be 1. And then this would be 1 out of 1 minus 0 is 1. So this is your answer. Now, in order to check, remember you have to work backwards. So that's why I lightened up my work here so that I didn't totally blank out all my numbers so I couldn't read it. So it would be 11 9/10. Then do the opposite of subtraction, which is addition. And then 4 4/10. Make sure that those decimals are lined up. And then you add. So that would be 13, carry your 1. That would have been 4 plus 2 is 6 and a 1. So that was the original number. So therefore, my answer is 11 9/10. Okay, so I want you to do number 6 and make sure you are checking your answer. Check answer. I'm going to write that off to the side here. And then same thing, 7, I want you to do the problem and check answer. And then 8, I want you to do that and check the answer right below here. All right, and then you are going to do 9 and 10. You're not going to worry about 11. We're going to go to the next page, and you are going to do all 6. And then that is the end of 3-9. Also, just to let you know, I am going to be skipping 3-10, but then after 3-10, I'm going to do a combination one. What that means is I'm going to combine both 3-11 and 3-12 and make just one lesson off of that. I'm going to be skipping a lot in 3-11 because a lot of this does not pertain to us. So I'm going to be skipping around a lot. So I'm just letting you know, the next one is actually going to be a combination one of 3-11 and 3-12. All right. I will see you then. Bye, guys.